Hi, I'm Jenna.
And I'm Erin.
Welcome to Between Two Filing Cabinets, where we bring you tips, trends, troubles, and stories from HR.
And we're excited to report to you today from our Leadership Engagement Essentials class. It's a 2-day course that we offer as a member benefit. Just wrapping up.
Yeah, we just wrapped up and it was a great couple of days, and so we wanted to share a few things that we got from the session. So we're going to give you 2 facts, 2 tips, and 2 stories.
That's right.
So, do you want to lead with facts that we learned?
Yeah, let's start some facts. So how about this one? We don't always think the most of soft skills training. In fact, with soft skills, personal effectiveness, but really it helps boost productivity and retention by 12%. And even kind of more startling, it delivers a 250% return on investment.
Yeah, that's such an amazing statistic, and especially when you think about how many employers are really investing in training and development.
Not a lot.
I think we read a study that said something like only 14% of employees would rate their employer an A,
yeah.
in training and development, yet we know that the payoff is there.
Yeah.
Another fact that we got out from this session is that employers that seek continuous feedback from employees, whether that's in one-on-ones, quick pull surveys, engagement surveys, stay interviews, just that informal conversations, getting that feedback, employers that get that continuous feedback experience 15% less turnover.
And that's a huge effect on your bottom line. I mean, the costs of turnover are just so huge.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 150% of base salary for some positions.
Yeah.
So a pretty important piece there.
Absolutely.
So now let's look at a couple of
Let's do some tips. Let's do some tips.
Okay.
So one of the things that we really emphasized a lot over the course of the 2 days was how important it is to really lead with relationships.
Right.
And so you have 3 sources of power. You've got maybe your position, you've got knowledge, and you've got your relationships. And so one thing that we see typically is our leaders aren't utilizing that relationship power, always leading from there. And so we talked a lot about how to build those relationships, how to build that culture of trust, how to really validate the opinions and feelings of others before you kind of go to where you want to go in the conversation, the importance of that. And so that would seem to be a real underpinning of the entire 2 days, was just that focus on the relationship with the people that you're working with.
Yeah, I think every single one of the sections that we did had that element in it where we really got to talk about the importance of the relationship, whether it was a difficult conversation or change management or employee engagement.
Yeah, handling risk too. Yeah.
Another thing that we focused on was really focusing on people's native drives and strengths. To really be able to guide and customize, I think, the employment experience that people have. Because if we can better understand what's really driving them, that this person really has a high, strong drive to be in control. They want that autonomy. It's really important for us to know about the position that they're in, because maybe the position doesn't allow for that. Maybe it's a position where they really have to be in the back seat, that they don't have that ability to assert that control. We need to know that, because that might be something that they're going to struggle with. So they might be able to do the job, but it might be really draining to them. So again, I think through the whole 2 days, we were able to really focus on how do we tap into and identify people's strengths, whether it's through people analytics, like through predictive index.
People really like predictive. It seemed like there was a real positive response, which makes sense, because it demystifies finding people's strengths so much.
And I think it's because it really uses the science that you can see. This is how this person is coded, really.
Right, and it's not fluffery. I mean, you have action plans that then you can do, whether it be having that conversation, that coaching conversation, or having to give some feedback to people. You can tailor it to them. So
yeah, I think one of the things that really resonated that I saw with people is when we really talked about sort of do you give this person these things? This person's going to need a collaborative, supportive environment. They're going to need time to talk it through. So giving those tools, I think, really resonated with people to be able to customize the leadership that they're providing when you have that really great tool.
Right, because we assume that people are like us. So it was kind of, there's a really great moment when one person was kind of like, oh, doesn't everybody want autonomy in their work? And it's like, well, No, some people really
Right.
kind of want to work with that team and have that team effort and collaboration that's constantly going on. And if you just kind of gave them a problem to run with by themselves, they wouldn't really thrive.
Right. Yeah. So the last thing that we want to talk about are just a couple of stories that stuck with us. One of the stories, someone was talking about. They're at a nonprofit, and they were talking about how we treat employees, and they kind of said, we really should be treating our employees like they're volunteers. And when you think about how we treat our volunteers, and we're making sure that they have all of the tools and the resources, and that we're getting regular feedback from them, that we're really sure to thank them and recognize the work, because they're not working for money. And he said, we really should be treating our employees that way, because they can leave us at any time.
Which we forget.
And we take advantage of sometimes because we're paying them. And so I thought that really stuck with me, because I like that idea of really going, we should be doing the same things and having that mentality. Of course, it doesn't mean that we would let poor performance slide or those sorts of things, but when you kind of do the basis of like the importance of the work that they're doing for, not for pay, I thought it was a really important point.
No, that was a great takeaway. And one of the things that I love about Lee is we get to ask people, what are some examples of the best leaders you've encountered? What are the characteristics of those leaders? And it really impressed upon me one of our attendees who works for a larger organization, like several hundred people, and the CEO who knew everybody's name, who would come and ask you about how are you doing, would know your name, would know about you, and really would make you feel like you were the only person that mattered in that moment. I think that was very powerful.
Yeah, and that gets back to the relationship.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. We're going to file this one under leadership and engagement, and we will see you on the next episode of Between Two Filing Cabinets.
Okay. Thanks.